All states want to play pair of Casey decision based on parental notification consent laws for abortion. 44 states have adopted such laws for result punishing minors from back to the age of craft 4. The Casey decision now standard with regulation pertaining minors particularly allowed parent constitutional 44 states to enact parental involvement laws, which would interfere for adults to transport minor across state lines in order to circumvent the state parental involvement laws that thereby fail challenge systems and defend appeals out of fear of one could be able to obtain child labor or screening political and social minds that being punished for systemically growing human beings that they are some punishments especially important to consider in life. The fact minors are no political power and these left women in a dangerous situation not deter women from obtaining abortion to result in domestic violence and instead deadly unsafe abortion scooter 2. The pregnancy and private often offers you side after living in fear of violence by family members or kind of break the ancestral violence will have support extended minors having working national parent because they really take physically abuse to successfully flip pregnancies so like make situation work for the same time. The zero times the great upon the fact that the fear of family violence could prevent a woman choosing to terminate a pregnancy. The Supreme Court case struck down proclamation notification requirement because of this fear. These young teenage women are in danger of to avoid telling their parents from into sort of legal abortion. Abortions are quite dangerous. Americans not face choice between legal abortion and no abortion. Face the choice between legal abortion, which are used sleeping illegal abortion off me or kill. They want to terminate pregnancy will do so. Then she will do it herself. Illegal self-abortion are literally dying in order to telling your parent about. And also interested in mind still have no option to have illegal self-induced abortion that they would risk their own lives. Demonstrate the parental unless you place on to burden on lives. And we got to response right here. That's close to percent of violence, family, child. Supreme Court should overturn Casey, indicating that federal country law statutes are unconstitutional. 94 cases court based decision of having legal law to ignore rectify cases. The Supreme Court should overturn. It's ruling on the terms of consent as action negotiate and negate the constitutionality of all consent notification provisions if regardless of the presence of right have to be the all men love directed shouldn't have to not all men love and men love and protect their wives should we not be served the interest of coping with the tragic reality of wives and domestic violence. It doesn't admit if functions like legislation is not for the government to protect the unemancipated mind from adverse consequences of the unkind work decision making and also and support that the against the law between the Supreme Court should answer to relevant test case in a rule point paragraph Casey 5 US 832 and holding that the parental notification and parental consent laws are constitutionally undue burden or unconstitutional for their right to clarify across this great time to ask questions about your procedural arguments and analysis to submit the construction views in their parental consent laws is an attempt to depict and use as innocent angels who must be protected from the evils of sexuality. Pregnancy becomes a punishment for young who experience sexual desire. Most part 4. Many laws seem to say that minors supporting angels can do no harm to dare break away from the rules set and so we keep sexing minors out. Minor class with the goal of protecting them from traditional notions of repression and since the belief is counted, they receive very civility, some situation of better way. They also put a virgin or dichotomies, they can decide not to act upon a consequence because they do not follow the rules, even if they order left out basic crucial information force the teen to involve parents in decision to remain who pregnancy as the guys have the ability to the seriousness of a major life decision. These same laws allow her to get married without having a single parent without parental permission. They minors are placing in light leaves with the statutes required minors told they're too young, too inert, too innocent, but if they happen to mess up, they will also not be forgiven further. As well as experiencing a revival of suppression of minor women's sexuality, parental notification, lesser part and parcel of the crusade was perpetuated lost object, family values, state article 6. The intensive words concerned about sexual conduct, adolescence, and forced on young women, the preoccupation with church back 1961. The awesome draw link between early childhood and poverty, the spread of attention shift away, unleashing crusade to traditional marriage. Beyond the sexually young active young women set the heart of this strong foundation generation that's focused in intent family goals, opportunity towards value, chastity, and authority. Parents over the adolescent children perpetrated who have public church self-rescue. In the 1830s, self-rescue their fallen sisters from a life of sin. This time, however, looks to state to help restore more hopes and kind of feeling like false mixture through the community chapter and comic of young women for the effort to restore traditional sexual values and sexual family values for the following laws. But the lack which together the use attempts to kill structurally necessary cannot be erased. We must take a radical and profound responsibility for these fantasies to avoid Holocaust and war time before. It's true as such as not believe the National Socialism for the nation's good to turn of wrong extent of cities and sections to achieve the idealization of the right to destroy exterminate to appear for the intent of love to about all this today. Who's often dropping of the bomb version acts with an act of evil is the kind of logical transition of injunction to Johnson. In the name of the Father, there will be no transgression, there will be no injunction, no evil per se, but no kind of castration, no exception. Law transgression must be limited to transition to his lawyer, Johnson says, therefore, sustained by the law itself by the country super legal that spits off the MC down and belly as it stands back on the laws around the question and limits of the law, and it's beyond only there can be actions based on the real truth, the questions of freedom and justice emerging. The law cannot be told, I said, always lasting is around this fantasies that are desirous the way that they organize themselves or Johnson hence consider our transgressions in this light around that lack that the essence of real emerge, which asks us to take ownership of our fantasies. This would account for one of the possible meanings of traversing your fantasy by suspending its hold on you. Additionally, this conception of being embodies a fantasy of erasing differences to achieve an impossible grand state of grand narrative state of purity. Such a recognition is critical to the narrative of progress in Jackson 4. The fantasy object is connected as the object which can be applied to equally to an individual nation or culture's fantasies, and the object can be elevated to the steps of the object as long as he understood the object refers to the object's spectral metric values. The actual aspect of the object makes unconscious not be a win in the constitutes symbolic order. The object is lowers identified by the metric like register probably the linguistic as a sign of such a win. When we say the child modernity is a divine fantasy, the object desire, we are not referring to any particular child, rather it's a the fantasy that surrounds childhood. The fantastic child is a transitive part of bourgeois progress and modernization. It's the history that helps shape the create the objects of the child. That's not the term that the same corrects to Western thought itself. The fantasy child exists outside the system of capitalist exploitation, devoid of symbolic such as class, race, color, and gender of capitalist exploitation, and there enabling precisely diverse forms, namely the masculinist, racist, white, upper class norm that abject all who fail to its impossible norm must appear in the worst form. The instance to just be discounted. The fantasy child is enables modernity to abject the child and murder some that builds a symbol of Western ideal, better self and conscious when person on staying forever young. It's equivalent to fantasy of the modern child never growing up, plus words continue to unfold for the system dissipation before everyone has the global side of capitalism must continue to keep renewing itself for the expansion. Additionally, such a discourse about sexual child ways to disavow its own imperialist and racist products to the state, the disavowal of its own values at 64. The fantasy of the pure child becomes a paradoxical object of the future projections phones without lack, as well as disavow the nation's imperialism, embracing the child's innocence and energy as always feels, so West lacking. Was perceived as the father of man, original knowledge, precisely the prophets and all manifestations, plenty was a way to avoid the disavow the nation, whatever, especially sexuality, explaining the child to be pedagogical discourse, the child becomes part of the symbolic world in the order as an empty and pure signifier for the imaginary child's development, so the secular economic makes working grand narrative. For example, being promoted capitalist Marxist and Christian perspective with infant Jesus, but the redeemer of the world, the opportunity of the child takes a place of both nation and progressive and progressivism, namely the magical energy of the youth remain or our young and observation 3 is the prior act of justification. Only legal reasoning can recognize the logic of the act for psychoanalysis to make the possibility for productive evidence. Supreme Court action is the precise model of always already, which defines true freedom. The counterpoint can never act to capture Carson 2003. The non-claiming is expressed in the Supreme Court here attempts to be proceeds to cure this field by Francis Searcher. Under these conditions, we're going to interpret the law today, but later the Supreme Court itself split. We will have always known what the law is all along. The possibility for legal reason split circuits always resolved, but an antecedent whose revelation is always appropriate. This is what psychoanalysis refers to as the act. The act is always beyond the laws and written opinion of the perceive the act as a symbolic or the justification of what psychoanalysis refers to as a share. The psychoanalysis means the legal reasoning, claiming the theories, but legal reasoning should invite moral, legal, and decision making, the necessity of good old-fashioned legal reasoning, and hence none of them acts of spontaneous agency and cause of the act, and hence none of them we can never fathom. Our motive says is processible means for human beings to be free, because we can try assign meaning to our own acts and and our freedom from the reasoning, underwriting the possibility for resubmission. The reasoning, this vision of the subject not pretty legal, this person is always plural. And sure, the subject is the law, and the law is our freedom. And this is not an issue. Future says this suspension of temporality is critical, as if we can act in the true political assets. GF 2002 for revolutionary breakthrough. Utopian futures never simply realized what present now. No, simply that's a distant promise which justifies the present violence. It's such a unique suspension of temporality between the present and future. Utopian futures not. So we fully hear what already happened. Everybody sees a revolution in the concept, present hardship, or chasm, freedom, or their shadow. We are already free as we fight for freedom. The suspension of future anterior to be legitimized. Is the one for outcome of present acts. He says if the own tolerance of proof and the meaning index his own and well, the question of act as a distraction from the fundamental issue. But the only way to pose that question is to concentrate on encountering one desire. The counterpoint that works is experience away from guidance Supreme Court action is coughing is done to you. The demand of the good is spatial relation to the more typical Kantian notion of the other. The entails of incorporation of the self. The antiquity is more extremely. And that the death drive is still pure. That stands apart from the realm of the other, even though the other is incorporated into the self. The well account for the non-usual definition as access is possible, and the format of judgment is possible, and desire and you pole to pole. Desire is not to me, like a point of view. The only thing that we can give guilty or not even roles to survivor is to form rather the logic of the form, not the content. It was not specified for prohibit company actions other than the one acting in conformity with one's desire, or alternatively not giving way to that desire, although that desire may not always be self-evident. The important thing is not to get the question encountered. Our argument is that legal reasoning is critical. It justifies this thing called the future anterior tense, where we always already know what the law is. The Supreme Court gets a case right from the circuit courts, which cannot determine what the law is. Our argument is that the Supreme Court and the methodology by which they use, which is legal reasoning, is a uniquely good actor because it uses the methodology of the future anterior, where they say this is what the law has been all along. It is not a question of establishing new laws, which would change the future. Rather, it is a suspension of temporality, which establishes what the law always has been. This is what allows us to create revolutionary ethics and challenges. This is what psychoanalysis refers to as the act or the cure, which is what would allow us to transcend the fantasy project. The 1AC is a project that proposes you as a role player. You role play as a Supreme Court and take responsibility. Our evidence indicates that responsibility is the crux of an ethical relationship with fantasies. That when we are responsible and take responsibility for the fantasies that we propagate, then we can transcend them. You can see how this is clear on this question. The reason why the Supreme Court is critical is because the Supreme Court is the one propagating these values in Casey. This is the reason why other actors can't do it.
Okay, so we're supposed to take responsibility. I'm curious as to how you take responsibility.
Our argument is that the Supreme Court should take responsibility for its decision in Casey.
Okay, so all of your ethics arguments are simply that the state must establish an ethical relationship with the people that it affects?
No. Our argument is that we all have fantasies, right?
Sure.
So our argument is that the fantasy of the youth, right, the myth of the youth, is being propagated by the Supreme Court. that Supreme Court should take responsibility for its propagation of.
I have a question. What about people who fantasize, like, for example, child pornography? Wouldn't your interpretation...
Yes, they should take responsibility for their fantasies. But
Wasn't
I think
your
that the fantasy about child pornography is a little
interpretation
different than the fantasy that we're talking about.
I mean, your interpretation would call for an explosion of the distinctions between children and adults, correct?
Incorrect.
Okay.
Our argument is that there is a construction that youth are innocent. Yes, we would say that youth can no longer be constructed as innocent angels that are blank slates. That's not an argument that children deserve voting rights or this or that. This is an argument about the way that we fantasize about what it means to be youthful. The idea that innocence is possible is a flawed logic.
This is great evidence. The first part of your tag is only in legal reason can we recognize the logic of the act.
Yeah.
What does that mean, only in legal reason?
That's what I was explaining at the end. Our argument is that the way that the Supreme Court goes about legal reasoning is a good one, that it receives a, this disjuncted circuit court decision that's being contested and we don't know what the law is, right? The Supreme Court goes about it not by saying this is what the law will be from now on. Rather, they go back and say this is what the law always has been. That is what the future anterior tense that R.G. Jacquard talks about. It's the idea that we can define what always already has been. Okay. And our ability to do that is what allows us to break from things that we consider political now, that we can only change the future. Our argument is we can change everything.
Okay, so how does this change the public?
Our argument is that we need to take responsibility for our fantasies. The Supreme Court needs to take responsibility for its fantasies.
Okay, so you do nothing about society taking responsibility.
This is an argument about ethics. Right?
Yes, I understand, but in society, it would still be ethical. I mean, so you do nothing to. All right, people who are not taking responsibility in the status quo, you do nothing for them. Only the Supreme Court.
Our argument is that everyone should take responsibility. The plan isn't.
Right, but you say that, but what do you do to facilitate that? You claim that.
We take
the Supreme Court, but what's a spillover argument to the public?
There's no spillover.
Okay, so then you only establish an ethical relationship with the Supreme Court.
Yes, the resolution calls
this is what I asked you at first, and you said no.
No, I said that we don't solve for a spillover.
No, I meant prior before this discussion, but
that's cool.
This filling of your Jedrzejewski evidence talks about how we have to understand the limits of law. How do you do that?
Our argument is that we redefine the limits of the law. That Jedrzejewski evidence indicates that we need to expose.
Just by overruling a decision, how do you redefine the limits of law?
We need to expose the fantasy within the law.
To the public?
No, to ourselves.
So you're exposing it to the judge, and that's what you get solvency out.
Sure. I don't know if